Hey everybody, welcome to our Wednesday night Epic Empire team call. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your night. I know that some of you are watching this from a recording, but this should be an amazing call. I wanted to go over some announcements and recognize some amazing rock stars. We are going through a challenge right now called Explode the Empire, or Exploding the Empire, whatever you want to call it. And we are focusing on recruiting, adding more coaches to our team so that we can all continue to grow and get more people out there running challenge groups. So congratulations to Kelly Smith, who has been the first person to earn bronze for her organization, and will be getting, sorry, I just checked my messages are blowing up and Tara was messaging me. But we'll be getting the first tier prize, which is the cute custom workout tank. But so congratulations, Kelly. We also have, I think it's Alexis at 4, Madeline at 3, Miriam at 3, Gina at 3, Alexis at 3, Dina at 2, Angel at 2, Sue at 2, Lena at 2, Catherine at 2, Jennifer Combs 1, Holly at 1, Afton 1, Jacqueline 1, Erica 1, Cindy, Kelly, Rachel, Effie, Amy, Lambert, Ren, Marla, and Aaron McMillan all at 1. One new coach in their organizations. Now, we have until Summit, and remember, gold level means you get all 3 tier prizes, and you have to get 15 coaches up until Summit. And then the grand prize is a coach that is attending Summit, gets 15 coaches, hits gold, gets all 3 tier prizes, and will be my special guest at the Elite Party. The cool thing about the Elite Party is you are going to be wining and dining with typically the celebrity trainers, CEO of the company, and all of the executives. So it's a great opportunity to meet the people you follow on Facebook, like Tarah Carr, and then also meet the trainers before everybody else gets to. So that is awesome. We are rocking this. We have added 44 new coaches in 8 days, which is amazing. I mean, it is blowing up, and it benefits everybody as we continue to grow Epic Empire. Let me pull up the May Success Club document to give some recognition for our Success Club earners so far. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to just start with SC5. Now, remember, it's the 25th of the month. We still have till the 31st to hit Success Club 5 or above. So you can qualify for free leads if you're an Emerald next month. So the people who are in Success Club 5 are Jacqueline. You just squeezed in there, girlfriend. Jacqueline at 6 points. Nikki, 6 points. Miriam, 6 points. Ashley, 5. Katie Burke, 6. Cindy DePinto, 8. Tanisha, 6. Rebecca Thompson, 6. Lee Brown, 6. Claire Corbin, 7. Afton Rio, 8 points. Angel, 8 points. Lisa Crichton, 7 points. Now, those that are in Success Club 10 are Kelly. It says Kelly Evan. I think it's the same as Kelly Smith at 10 points. Dina at 12 points. Cindy at 15 points. Myself at 19 points. And then Aaron McMillan leading the pack at Success Club 20. So congratulations to everybody who's on the board. If you're not, get there. You have until the 31st. All right, that is my announcements for Success Club and our Explode the Empire movement, I guess you want to call, for the month of, I guess, end of May through June and July. So remember, we have a lot of weeks there to get your name on the board, and I'm super, super excited about the gold members because I'm creating a swag bag of all of my favorite things. I kind of feel like Oprah. I'm not as cool as Oprah, but I have a lot of favorite things that I'm going to be adding to the swag bag for everybody who hits gold, which is 15 coaches by Summit. I'm super, super pumped for those. But I want to introduce our speaker because I'm done talking. You guys hear me talking all the time, and I'm not that exciting. And you're like, I'm tired of you, Dana. Let's hear somebody else talk. I adore this coach. Like, she was one of my favorites from my day one. I heard her speak on Tommy Migrant's Swarm call when I was a brand new coach. I'm like, who is this chick? She's so awesome. So I started following her on Facebook, and I remember, I think I sent her a friend request, and I want to say it was either her posing as her assistant or it was her assistant, but she was like, I'm sorry, I can't accept a friend request. I don't know, something had happened because she probably has a ton of followers and a ton of friend requests in the network. And here I am, this new coach, like, please just be my friend. But she is a rock star. Now, let me read some of her credentials because I got to read them because there's a lot. It's not just like, oh, she's an elite coach and 8-star diamond. There's a lot on there. And if I butcher this, please give me some grace. Youngest and first international 15-star, or I guess you would call it a superstar diamond coach within the network. So she's probably part of her story, and I'll hold some of that off, but built her business in Okinawa, Japan. Talk about not having excuses. That's part of her credentials. 47 lifetime diamonds across multiple business centers. You know those trying to go 1 and 2-star? She's 47. Like, we get on our diamond calls and we have like 6 to 8 people. 47 just kind of is mind-boggling to me. She's been a coach since April of 2011. So this isn't something that's like, you know, she's been doing for 20 years or anything. She has been doing this for what are we in, 2016? 5 years? Crazy. She just hit her 5-year anniversary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. She is in the millionaire circle, which means she has earned $1 million in income, and I'm sure she's past that. $1 million in income with Beachbody, just Beachbody alone, which is absolutely amazing. Never missed a month in Success Club. 61 months in Success Club. She is an SC10 All-Star Legend, which is 24 months in Success Club 10 consecutively without dropping down. She has been a top 10 coach. You know, those top 10 coaches you see Beachbody recognize. She has been able to hold that spot, which is a very difficult thing to do. 3-time elite coach, so 3 years as an elite coach. Which is, personally, I've been there, and it's not the easiest thing to continue to obtain, especially as you grow. Like, each year it tends to get a little bit harder to reach, and so congratulations, 3-time elite is amazing. But all these stats and everything are wonderful, and it's what Beachbody likes to recognize. But honestly, this girl has a heart of gold. She has a mission and a why that is bigger than most of our brains can comprehend. And I'll let her share that with you. But she is as genuine as they get. I mean, the girl's a flippin' millionaire with Beachbody, and here she is talking to me on the cruise ship and mingling with me without feeling like, oh, can I talk to Tarah Carr? And she's just so down to earth and this warmest, sweetest person. And I'm so excited that she is going to be speaking. Make sure you get your lines to jump on, and you're like in a shopping mall or maybe a dryer. Somebody's got some crazy noise going on. Nicola should be monitoring the lines while you're speaking, Tarah, so hopefully you don't have too much disruption. But Tarah, thank you so much for taking the time away from your family and your team to speak with us on our call. I'm going to give you the floor, and then we'll open up Q&A at the end, so write down your questions.
Perfect. No, thank you. My husband's like, you're skipping the first quarter of the Cavs games. I'm like, there's 3 more quarters left. Like, so even if they win or lose, I'll be there for that. That's all that matters. Like, there's the awesome LeBron shot, just like record it for me and we'll replay. But I am so excited to be able to be on here and talk to you guys tonight. Full disclosure, when people read my stats, I get like high anxiety because I am your average hot mess person. Like, still to this day, I am a hot mess. And so when people hear those things, I know how I used to be when I would hear those things, right? Like, I would hop on calls when it would be Tommy Migrant or it would be Christine Dwyer. And I would just sit on the other end in Okinawa at like 3:00 in the morning, because that's what time it was for me during those calls. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're like these superstars, right? That's what they're even titled, is Beachbody superstars. And I just felt like they were so untouchable and they weren't human anymore, and they must like eat off of gold plates in their home. Like, that's what I thought, right? I'm like, it just must be so fabulous. But I have to tell you guys, as a full disclosure, I'm still a hot mess. I still shop at Kohl's and Target. They're still my favorite places. I still have squirrel syndrome to the max. My dishes are still not done. I am still a normal person. Like, I still struggle sometimes in this business. There are still some months where I wake up and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to hit success this month. I truly don't know how I'm going to do it this month, but somehow I pull it together. Whether it's in the middle of the month or it's the last hour of the month, I'm like, I must hit success club this month. And I want to make that the topic of tonight's call, about having that consistency and that drive to always be locking in Success Club, because it's why I have those stats. It's why I'm here where I am, because I had a why worth fighting for, and all I had to remember was to hit Success Club every single month. And that was truly my own goal for years, because if I could do that one consistent thing, if that was that one goal that I knew I could always check in the box, it meant that I was helping someone new. I wasn't staying in my comfort zone and continuously adding people to my free challenge group that were the same person over and over, because intrinsically, although I'm a Ruby personality, I don't know if you followed the Jen series, but I am a hardcore Ruby Sapphire. I am super hard charging. I'm a bulldozer. I am fun, but to fault, because I just don't do details. I don't think that they're important. I tend to do a lot of rules, not on purpose. I just don't know that there are rules there. And so that was hard in the beginning of the business, because when you're wanting people to join you in your team, they want to be led. And I'm like, I don't know how to lead you. I just got to show up and have fun. But I had to learn, if I was going to be a good leader, I couldn't just be me. You come a point in your business where you have to learn, I need to learn how to lead every gem. I have to learn how to remove myself from the situation of this business and find out how I can help other people. And so no, that does not mean that I'm organized. Ask my husband. I still drive him crazy with that. He's like, babe, we have dressers. Our clothes actually belong in the dressers. When they come out of the dryer, we don't dump them on the top of the dresser. And I'm like, no, I do. I know you don't, but I do. Like, that's where it's my happy place, because I get a full inventory of what I have on top of my dresser, and then I can just pick and grab when I want to go. So it's a perfect system for me. But when it's in your business and you focus on that small step of Success Club, every month I would just say to myself, can I find someone that's a hot mess like me? Because even though I'm a hot mess and I haven't changed certain things, I'm more confident with who I am. I'm better at not making excuses and understanding the areas that I did need to improve that really drove my husband crazy, because it was fair to him. And it was the thing that was causing fights and problems all the time. And so I had to say to myself, I can't continue to just keep saying, well, you just got to love me for who I am. That's who I am, because I wasn't being responsible. It was the habits I was passing on to my children. And so when I started focusing on just one area of my life a month, and this is outside of coaching, right? And that's where you're going to have an amazing, successful business, is when you focus internally on the things that you need to fix with yourself. Because when people start to see those small changes, they are not going to reach out to you to say, hey, can you coach me through the 21-day fix? You're like a master at these containers. That's not what they see. They see thousands of other Beachbody coaches posting these 20-day fix containers. So they could go to any of them. But why they're going to choose you is because you humanize yourself on social media. You strip back those layers of saying, I'm not perfect. There are still some things that I struggle with, but here's how I've learned to not just survive deployments, but thrive through them. This is how I've learned to become a better mom through them. This is how I've learned to not make my kids super sad through them without spending money. You know, this is how I've learned to motivate other women to have a strong marriage through deployments, instead of saying, well, we're apart 10 months out of every year. So how could we possibly grow closer in our marriage when we're apart? And I had to humanize myself and say, Adam and I almost killed each other at certain points in our marriage, but we had to learn, just as we preach personal development in our coaching business, we had to read personal development with our marriage. And as I was able to share some of those things that we were learning through our marriage, or through life, or through financial woes, people wanted my help with that. They would come to me and say, we are in debt, and I see that you do this Dave Ramsey thing. What is it that you do? Could you teach me that? And of course, I'm like, I would love to teach you that. I have a free challenge group coming up with that. However, my financial coaching, along with my health and fitness coaching, it coincides. Because I've learned the years that if you're not happy and healthy with who you are, everything else falls apart. And so because I need you to focus on your health and I need you to focus on your fitness, the way that you can get into any of my life mentorship groups is by purchasing what we call a challenge pack. So I'll help you pick the one that is intrinsically going to be fun for you to do. It's not what's going to get you the best results. It's going to be what's going to be fun for you that I don't have to hold your hand through. And then I'm going to teach you life. So I'm going to check in on your health and fitness, but that's not going to be the basis of our group. And so I don't think I've built very traditional with coaching, because although I've ran a couple groups where it's a challenge group of fitness based, more often than not, it's about life. It's about overcoming issues of coming from a divorced family, or having daddy issues, or have marital issues, or feeling like you're a crappy military mom who can't hold it together because your kid ate cereal for the third night in a row. Like, those were the things I had to humanize myself about and talk about, because I knew I was alone. I knew that I was not possibly the only mom in Okinawa that fed her child cereal for the third night in a row, because I was having a mental breakdown. I was seeing things on the news and I was letting it consume my thoughts, and I was worrying. And so that night it was cereal. But when I allowed myself to talk about that and gave other people permission to say, me too, that's when people started to choose me as their coach, because they trusted me. They trusted me beyond the health and fitness programs that we have, because the infomercials are already skeptical to them. They already see a before and after and they're like, there's no way, that's photoshopped. Like, those programs don't work that well. Like, you can't build muscle in a gym, whatever. They're skeptical. But if they're following a person that they know isn't lying about anything else in their life, right? They're not showing you just all the highlight reels. They're going to ask themselves, well, if she's telling me the truth about all of this, why would she lie to me about my potential with this fitness program? And so it's that instant trust that they have with you. And I find more often than not in my business, after the first, I'd say 4 months of coaching, I hardly ever, and I wish I could get these statistics from Beachbody, I probably could. But when you go to your previous online office and you go to my orders and customer orders, I hardly have any customer orders. Almost my entire 7 figures of my business have been built off of my team, off of coaches, because I attract people who want to be coaches. They want to be a part of my family, my team, because that's what it is. It's not this network of business professionals where all we do is we push business. We push fix your life first. And as you fix your life, intrinsically, you're building a business, because other people are going to want to know, how is your life the way it is right now? What are you doing? In order to give them that time, and what you're learning is having that confidence in yourself to say, I'm worth the investment of a challenge pack, and it's saying, if they're like, okay, but I thought you wanted to help me with my life, why do I have to buy a challenge pack from you? Is it just because you're money off of me? Is it because you're pushing products? You have to have the confidence, and in return saying, actually, no, yes, I do this for a living. I'm able to do it. And that health and fitness is the tool that provides me the opportunity to coach people through life. But when you break it down, I'm making about $1 a day when I'm coaching you through life. And if you were to think about hiring a therapist or a shrink or a life coach, they're going to be way more expensive than me. So $1 a day, and you're getting your fitness program, and you're getting Shakeology. Like, I break it down in that way. And it's having the confidence of saying, are you worth $1? Is your life changing? Your investment, the changes you see me posting about other people that are having stronger marriages, that maybe sometimes are getting out of a really unhealthy relationship, right? Sometimes I have to make sure people know I am not like this hardcore, you must be married, even if you're in the most awful relationship and you're being abused. It's like, if you're in that kind of relationship, and that couldn't be further from the truth. I've grown up in an environment where I've witnessed domestic violence, and it's very near and dear to me that I'm an advocate about, of helping women out of the situation and giving them the confidence and the power to know there is a time when it's okay to walk away and protect yourself and protect your family. But it's having that confidence and that strength to share that with other people. And so early on in my business, right, I was not super fit. I'm still not super fit to this day. I'm not your average fitness coach that has a 6-pack of abs and I'm like, Flex Friday, look at me. I just don't do that, because I am a recovering person from emotionally a bad relationship with fitness and a bad relationship with food. In high school, I was anorexic for 2 years. I turned to comfort eating after that because I was just trying to do the opposite of what I felt was harming me. And that's how I ended up being 165 pounds, obese at 5'2", wearing a size 14, where I needed a rubber band to close my pants because I refused to go up a size. I was like, I'm not doing it, right? Like the BX only carried size 16. So I'm like, where do I go from here? I'm not going to special order my clothes. And so it was that turning point for me of saying, I'm going to do this for myself. Sure, it was to surprise Adam from him coming home from a military deployment where he was in the Philippines for 3 months. But I wasn't a coach yet at this point. I was just a customer. And I said to myself, I have to do this for me. This one thing in my life, I'm always doing something for everyone else. I'm always protecting everyone else or fighting for someone else or buying goals for someone else. But this I have to do for me. And there were certain points in my business where I had to tell myself that. Although I was fighting to bring Adam home for more, I had to say, I have to hit Success Club this month for me, because I have to show myself that I believe in myself to do it, because those childhood voices of doubt and insecurity of saying you don't matter, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not this, you're not that, those would creep in my head and tell me, okay, well, you're not going to hit Success Club this month because you're just not smart enough, or people aren't going to trust you. And so there were certain months where I had to hit Success Club for me to shut those voices up and be like, that's a lie. I'm actually really smart. You know, I might not have it all together all the time, and I might have grammatical errors that people point out every single day on Facebook, but I don't care. And I'm just going to keep sharing. And if someone's going to join me, but I had to ask a lot of questions to other people. So I encourage you, when you sit there and you say, but I don't know what to post about on social media. I hear all these top coaches saying, I should be posting 2 to 3 times a day. And there's only so many sweaty selfies or Shakeology pictures or positive memes that I can post. I don't know what else to post. Those are the things I don't want you posting a lot of. Instead, I want you to brain dump as much as you possibly can on a piece of paper in the middle of nowhere, where it's just God's most amazing creation. I don't know about you. I don't push my faith on people, but if I'm just in an open field and I look around and I'll put my headphones in, sometimes I just cry because I feel so small in the world. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, you know, like I'm looking at grass, I'm looking at bugs, I'm like, holy moly. But all these thoughts will start coming to my head. And so I just take a piece of paper and I write down anything that comes to mind. It could be a word about my sister. It could be a word about when I was a little kid and I put down that game where you put the chalk and you throw a rock and you do the jumps. It could be anything. And at that moment, I don't know why I'm writing it down. It's just whatever comes to my head. It's what comes to my thoughts. And if you're a woman, that's like 1,000 things a day. So you're awesome if you're a girl. If you're a guy, you've got to learn how to get out of your nothing box, because you're going to sit in the field and leave after an hour and be like, well, I thought of nothing, because my husband has tried that. He's like, babe, we're guys. We have nothing boxes. I'm like, okay, we'll leave the nothing box and I'm going to need you to go to the thinking box, because this assignment requires you to think and become emotional and in tune with yourself and allow you to think of these things for a brain dump. And so then when you go back to your brain dump, it can't be immediately. It can't be right after you do it. It has to be the next day. You're going to go back to your brain dump and you're going to say to yourself, why did I put down that game when I was a little kid? What triggered me to put that down? Maybe it's a positive thing of why you put that down. And it's a story that you can share on social media where you found the confidence to jump in and say, I want to play with these girls who I used to be afraid to play with. And maybe it's because that day you got a new haircut. And so it gave you that confidence, but it reminds you that you used to not fit in. And so you could share with how Beachbody makes you fit in now in this community, right? Or maybe it's that you're sharing a story. For me, just in 2011, what popped on one of my brain dumpings was my dad. And I didn't know why I put him down. I hadn't thought of my dad for 8 years. And I thought to myself, why did I put his name down? Like, he's completely irrelevant to my life. Like, I could care less about him. And that's what I told myself. That's what I numbed myself into thinking. But I didn't realize that it was my dad that was the root of all of my trust in men. My husband, for no reason at all. I made him guilty by association because my dad put those walls in my life. And he was the reason, in a good way, that I never break a promise. If I promise you something, I will show up, or I will do it, or I will die trying, because my dad never kept a promise to me, not one. And I never realized as a little girl that impacted me through my entire, when I promised my 5-year-old one day that I would bring his dad home because he had a fear that he was going to come home in a box like his Uncle Jeremy, I was not going to break that promise. And I didn't know, swear to you, I did not know in that moment when I made that promise how the hell I was going to do it, because I was sucking at life. I had, unfortunately, not so many people in my corner that were rooting for me, that were other coaches in Team Beachbody. My house being egged, my business signs were being torn down. And so there was this moment in my life where I was like, everyone is against me. So who would be for me? Like, I have no one in my corner. I don't have motivated people on my team. They just want to hang out. They just want to have fun, but that's not what I need. I need business builders. I need people that want to run in this business with me and bring Adam home, because I just made a promise to a little boy that I don't know if, God willing, I can keep. But I knew I had to, because I never broke a promise. And so it was just making that decision every single day that it didn't matter who was on my team that was going to show up. I had to make a decision that I wasn't going to get mad if I only had 2 people on my team call, because that happened often. And I had to say, I'm not going to get frustrated and say, well, I get team trainings for them. I do graphics. I send them gifts. I do this. I do that. I had to stop saying I, and I had to just keep saying we. We're going to do this. We're going to do this together. We're going to run a fit club together. We're going to go to summit together. In my first summit, I was by myself, completely by myself. My second summit, I had 5 people. My third summit, we had over 50. And my fourth one, I think it was over 150. We have thousands of people on our team now, but it's because I had to stop saying I had to stop keeping tally of all the things that I was doing for our team and our business, and keeping score of who was not doing it. And it's a lot like a marriage relationship, this business, if you think about it. If you keep score in your marriage and you're so mad that your spouse didn't take out the trash, or they didn't do the dishes, or they didn't fill up your car with gas, or they didn't do it with the kids, and you're just keeping score, you're never going to see eye to eye. You're always going to be bickering and fighting, and you're never going to be grateful for the good things that they do. And so instead, with my team, of getting upset about thinking, why do you suck so bad sometimes? I'm a Ruby, and that's how you want to think. I had to humanize myself and make a video on my team page and apologize to them and say, I have been saying too much of I in my head, and it has caused me a little bit of resentment sometimes towards you. But I want you to know that I have done a lot of soul searching in myself, and realizing that where you're at in your business is completely okay with me, because that's where God wants you to be at this moment. And sometimes I may be a little bit tough on you. Sometimes I may push you, but that's only because I know you want to be pushed. And I know I needed to be pushed. I needed someone in my corner, and I didn't have anyone at the time. So I needed to cheer myself on. So a couple of things that helped me with taking the I out of my team and giving myself permission to push my team in a loving way is hopefully something you can implement with all of your coaches or challengers that you bring on, or anyone, is number 1, I hop on the phone with them. That's my very first step. Some people may disagree with me, but I believe that this is a belly-to-belly relationshipness. I believe in quality over quantity. So although I have 40-something plus and even know Lifetime Diamonds, I know all of their children. I know all of their struggles. I know when they've had a marital fight, and I've given them advice on how to try to fix it. I have helped them with their finances. I have talked to them about their deepest fears. I know all of them. I know everything about them. And I send them birthday flowers, and I write them handwritten cards when I see that they're having a bad day, because to me, this is a relationship business. And I don't recruit 20 to 30 people a month. I'm not a top recruiter anymore. Back in the days, but that's because I was a crazy person who drove 100 miles just to deliver a Shakeology packet for a sale. Because I was just like, if you breathed and you said you were interested, I was there. But I've learned that you will get burnt out in your business of trying to say yes to everybody. And instead, you have to be very specific on who you want your tribe to look like, who you want to be in your corner of your business, because like attracts like. And so I don't have black clouds in my business anymore. I don't have people where I don't see eye to eye, or they're quote unquote crazies, right? Like, those people are out of my life, because I attract the people who are most like me. And when I first attract them, I hop on the phone with them. And I ask them not a single business question. I ask them everything I possibly can about them, and I take notes. Who are you? Tell me 3 positive beliefs in your head. Tell me 3 negative voices you thought about yourself before we hopped on this call. Tell me what your life plan looks like in 5 years if there was no glass ceiling. And I am not afraid to combat their answers. If they're like, I would really love in 5 years to have $10,000 in our savings account. And I'm like, really? That's all? In 5 years, if there was no glass ceiling, you would only want $10,000. So like, well, of course, want more, but realistically thinking, and I'm like, no, we're not talking realistic in what your terms of realistic are. We're talking no glass ceiling, because I want to know how big their God-given dreams are. Because the dreams that we have that we tell ourselves, we minimize them because we think the things that we want to believe that is possible, but then we quickly make them smaller because we're like, oh no, not me. I couldn't. 10,000 safe, 50, no way. But 10, I could probably do 10 in 5 years. So I'm not afraid to call them out on that, but I take notes. I take a lot of notes on them, and I keep it all in my Google Drive under a file. So it's just a file, and it'll say personally sponsored coaches. And then I also have mine for adoptee coaches, because I'll work with anyone deep in my downline. I don't care where you are. If you are a good person and you are willing to meet me halfway, I treat them all the same. So there's a file, personally sponsored coaches. And then when I open that, they each have their own folder. And so it's got their name on it from the moment they sign up with me. And so I'm just taking notes about every question I ask them, which my list is all the same. So you're going to find that your questions are all going to be different from each other on this team, because it's what you're going to care about most about them. And so mine have definitely evolved over the 5 years. It used to be like, what's your favorite color? Was that relevant? No, but I felt like I needed to know. So it's definitely evolved. But then their homework assignment after call is to take a GEM test. And I have the test on a Google Drive link. Everything I do in my business, I want people to be able to duplicate it for free. Because I know when I joined, I was $35,000 in debt. We were on WIC checks. I had high anxiety. I could barely afford Shakeology. And there was no way, if I signed up, someone who would have told me, okay, well, I run this off of Kajabi and it's $99 a month to run. I'd be like, okay, I guess I can't be successful because I can't afford that stuff. So everything I operate my business off of still to this day is a free Gmail account. It's a $1.99 GoDaddy URL, and it's Google Drive and Dropbox. So Dropbox is the only thing that I invest in, which is a no limit account, because I store a lot of stuff. But I also just make sure I tell people, you can use Mailchimp for free up to a certain amount of things before you max your limit and you need to pay. But I'm all about Dave Ramsey and making sure that I can duplicate this with my team. So I have them do the GEM test. And Jatana, I can send you my link if you want, so you can give it to your team. But I encourage you to make it your own, because all of you should be your own consistent brand. You can be all one team and unified with that one name, but whatever colors pop to you that people are like, when I think of this, I think of Jatana, or I think of Nicole, or I think of Carol, whatever it is, they have to think of you as soon as they click open the link. So take my images, take them verbatim as far as the questions in the little ABCD, but make the image your own branding so someone feels you when they open it. But then, so you're going to have them take that test. And then the second one you're going to have them take is the 5 love language test. And this is where the I really came out of the equation, and my team tripled almost overnight. It was in 2000, and I joined April 2011, and within 10 months, I had hit $100,000. We had paid off all of our debt. We had a savings account for the first time in our life. I was buying stuff I shouldn't have bought because I didn't have a good relationship with money. So I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I have money, buy everything you see. And then from that point forward, kind of slowed down because I got comfortable, because we weren't living with overdrafting our bank account. And it wasn't until Noah, our 5-year-old, was asking me, is daddy going to come home in a box of me, who was one of my husband's teammates on his 12-man team in the military who died, that fire came back, because I thought, he can't get out on $105,000 salary. That's just, we couldn't do that. We have free housing. We have medical care. We have this, we have that. I don't know if he's going to want to go work a 9-to-5 job after getting out. Like, I want him to have the choice of financial freedom. And so when I started implementing these tests of this GEM test and finding the love language is on literally Google. So if you type it on Google, the 5 love language test, and you go to their website, you can click on the link to take it. So I have people just send me their results on the 5 love language tests. But I would say the love language test is the foundation of our family, of our team. And it's because if someone's tank is not filled that you're working with, they are going to feel like they don't matter to you, like just a number on your team. And although you may think you're doing so much, it's the I in us. I'm sending you gifts. I'm recognizing you. I'm making graphics for you. I'm doing calls with you. If it's not the way their love tank is filled, they don't feel it. They're like, she doesn't care about me. She just sends me gifts because it's a way to write me off. She thinks it's a quick fix. And you're like, no, I would never do that, because that's not the way your love language works. But you have to know how theirs works. So for example, I had a top producer girl. She's amazing. She like paid off all of her student loan debt. I went to high school with her. We weren't friends back then, but we started into talking on Facebook. And I treated everyone all the same at a starting point. I gave them all the same gifts for the same, I did all the same shout outs. Everything was very systematic and organized, which I'm not normally like that. So I was very proud of myself that I was doing all of this. And one day it got around back to me, because it always does when people talk on your team. And they said, I think Tarah just cares about diamonds. I think I'm just a number to her because I get the same gift as everybody else. It feels like she goes to a store and she mass shops and then she just sends it out like she has to, like it's her job. And I was so hurt, not because I thought that they were trash talking me. I was hurt because I tell that I hurt her. And this business to me, they're my family. Like that's my life. Ever hurt someone or not make them feel valued. So I actually reached out to her and I said, hey girl, how could I have made you feel more valued on our team? How could I have made you feel more loved? And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed. I can't believe that this got back to you. I love all the gifts that you give me. I'm super grateful for them. And I'm like, no, don't be defensive, because I'm not upset with you. In fact, I'm so sorry that somehow I've hurt you. I want to know how I can make it better for you. And she said, my love language is quality time. If I could just take you out to lunch, if I could buy you a Panera sandwich, my 3 months would be made. And I was like, really? Because I feel like I should be buying you a sandwich. And she's like, no, I just want to spend time with you, but I have a lot of time because you're busy. So I know that will never happen. And again, it reminded me back to a marriage and a relationship. If you don't make time for your spouse or your partner, if you don't put them before you put the kids and you put them last, you're going to resent each other. And so I look at every single one of my coaches as partners in this business and saying, how do I make sure that they're feeling loved? And so can I go on a date with all of them all the time? No. I know for my local girls, but I make it a point to know that when I have people that have a love language of quality time, when we go to summit or when we go to leadership, I am individually putting those specific people in a message. And could we grab a cup of coffee real quick, like an hour before the first session? I really want to get together with you guys. And they're like, oh my gosh, yes. Like they'll drop everything. They'll like drive an hour just to go get that cup of coffee if they're not even in the vicinity, but only because they're quality time love language. But if they're a gift, it's easy for me to give them a gift. They'd be like, coffee with Tarah? I don't want coffee with Tarah. I want a pair of sunglasses. Like, but you have to learn that it's not wrong the way that someone feels loved. There's 5 different love languages. There's quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, and gift giving. So there's no wrong way that someone feels love, but there is a wrong way that you can give it. And so that's the selfless part about being a leader in this business. And it starts from day one. It started a year after me for this business of understanding that I didn't have money to invest in people yet, but for gifts, more often than not, when someone has a love language that is gifts, this is like something that comes from the heart, right? So like my husband and I, we didn't have a lot of money. We both came from very humble beginnings with our families. And so when he would do something just so special out of the ordinary for me, when he would go on a deployment, he would hide letters all around the house in really good hiding spots. And he knows I hate secrets. Like I love them. I love to be surprised. But if I know a surprise is coming, I'm about to like explode in my mind because I have to know the secret. And so he would hide notes all around the house. And then whenever he could tell I was feeling down, he would send me a picture and say, check behind this picture frame, or go check at the very bottom of the barrel of the cat food. And I'm like, what? Oh my gosh, there's a note. And I'd go darting because I'd be so excited that there was something waiting for me. And it would be this long card from him with just words of affirmation, filling me up, telling me that I was kicking butt, that I was doing awesome, and how much he missed me. And although I know he wrote them in advance, sometimes a year in advance because he was gone forever, it was the fact that he thought of me before he left, that he put that much detail into something, knowing that it would make me feel loved before he left. And so if that's what you're doing for your coaches right now, whose love languages is gifts, it's sending something little that you know means a lot to them. So, the girls on my team, they know that there's this deep story with this little troll that I have about my other Nan and her just instilling belief in me. And I told them this story because I bought them all troll socks from Target one time. And these girls wear these troll socks all the time. Like one girl has a hole in her big toe and she's like, I will never take them off, because it's like the magic of the troll socks behind the story that I've shared with them. All of a sudden I was having this really hard time. And it was when, Adam went public about PTSD, which was really hard for us as a family, right? Because I couldn't say anything. It wasn't my battle. It wasn't my suffering. It had to be on his own time. But once he did that following week in the mail, I had like a flood of troll gifts at my house. And I was just a bawling mess, because it wasn't that they sent me a gift. It was that they took the time to think of something that would mean something to me. And so if you can do that to those that are challengers in your group or your coaches, you are going to make them feel so loved and not unworthy because they didn't hit Success Club for the second month in a row, but they were trying so hard, or, whatever it may be. And it's not to say that if you're doing that in your business now that you're doing it, because I've done that. I still recognize those that hit Success Club in my business. I still recognize those that rank advanced, because that is a huge achievement to strive for. You do want to still keep those goals. Diamond in my business is standard. When someone joins me, I tell them it is a standard for me for you to go diamond. And I prefer 90 days, but you're a badass, so let's go for 30, because that's my standard. And it's standard because I know it's what grew my business. It's where I know that you start to thrive. You start to get traction from people because they're like, you're a what? You sparkle, you're a diamond? What does that mean? Nobody knows what that means, but they think it's cool. So I'm like, I want you to just be super cool. And I want them to know it's not because it makes me an extra star of whatever. It's that's what I want for them, because I know that's what it did for me. So I have them take those two tests, the GEM test, the love language test. I keep it on a file. I routinely go back to that. So if I can see they're down in the dump, I know how to lift them back up. And then I have them fill out an all about me form. And it's a bunch of random questions. When's your birthday? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite flowers? What's your favorite animal? What's one of your biggest peeves in life? What's your favorite knock-knock joke? Like, it's just a bunch of like random questions. And I can go back all about you for them, and I can send them a little handwritten card that's maybe purple because their favorite color is purple. It's like those little things. And for the longest time, I didn't share with my team that I did this about me form. And they were like, you have such a good memory. Like, how did you know I love turtles? Like, that's kind of creepy. And I'm like, I pulled up my Google Drive. Like, well, honestly, that's why I have the form, but don't give me that much credit because I have squirrel syndrome. So I totally didn't remember that, but I want it to be special for you. And that's why I have you write down those facts. So don't be hard on yourself saying, okay, well, there's no way I'm going to organize all of that. Be confident in telling them I have a system to keep everything organized, and I want you to duplicate this and do the same, because it's the thought behind why you're doing it. It's not that you're trying to build this intelligence package against, one of your new recruits that you have. It's that you're doing it because you care about them, that you love them. And then I tell them, we don't talk until I get your results. And I prefer within 72 hours so we can book your second call. But we don't talk until I get these results. And this is where I really skim out the people that are going to do something or they're not. Because if they can't finish 2 tests for me about themselves that has nothing to do with the back office trading, they're never going to make it in coaching with me because they don't even care enough about themselves to go that and get started. So I give them a 72-hour deadline. I review their results. And why it's important for me to know in advance before we get on that second call is I need to know what their personality type is. If they're a pearl, I have to be careful with my tone because I'm a ruby. And I can say some pretty harsh things that people don't always take the same way that I mean them. And if they're an emerald, I have to make sure that I'm giving them a systematic plan of like A, B, C, D, or they're going to have high anxiety because I didn't give them enough information or facts. And if they're sapphire, they are so super fun and awesome. And I probably want to be their best friend forever. but they suck at details or showing up or remembering deadlines. So I know for a sapphire, I have mine them 24 hours after we got off the phone to make sure that they take the test because they have a 72-hour deadline. And almost all the time they text me back and they're like, oh my gosh, thanks so much for the text. I totally forgot. And I'm like, I know, because I know you're a sapphire. I haven't gotten the results back, but I can peg you because I've been doing this for 5 years. So it is really learning those personality types and not just, well, she doesn't want it, so I'm going to wash my hands of her. It's, no, she's a sapphire, and I really just got to help her find the strengths in being a sapphire and not let her weaknesses of being a sapphire hold her back from this coaching business. So then on that second call that we have, and as a dreamer, why I say we're not hopping on the phone until I have that is I tell them it's just mandatory. So if they send me a text, let's say the next day, and they're like, hey girlie, I know we just talked on the phone yesterday. I haven't gotten a chance to take the gems yet, but my neighbor wants to sign up to be a coach like right now, and I need to know what to do. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so excited for you. However, I don't answer any coaching questions until you meet me halfway and I have those test results back. So I would love to help you sign up your neighbor, but go ahead and get those test results back to me. And then when we hop on the phone, I can walk you through how to sign her up. Sound great? And they're like, sure. Or I'm like, or the back online office walk you through it, but you got to meet me halfway. And so you have to put your foot down with those boundaries. Otherwise, coaches will control your life and your inbox with mundane questions because they don't want to take the time to do the work that you're giving them that you know could benefit them in their own business. So once we get on that second phone call, I point out to them the strength and weakness of who they are because there's no such thing as a bad gem. We need all the gems in this world and in this business. But you also have to understand that whatever gem you are going to attract the opposite when it comes to gems. And the reason why you're going to attract the opposites are because rubies are competitive. Rubies want to beat everyone. It's like my fear of wanting to go out for Mrs. Ohio because I want to win. Like if I go after it, I have to win. I would be so mad because I'm Ruby. Like I have to win. But most rubies don't join other rubies teams because intrinsically they already want to beat them. So they're like, how could I beat my sponsor? Because she's a 5-star. So I don't want to join her because I want to join someone else and then outbeat them, right? Like it's psychology. I don't know why rubies are so messed up like that. But if you're a ruby, you're like raising hands. Yeah, we're really messed up. We don't know why. We're just that way. But we attract people that are pearls because pearls want to be driven like that. They want to give themselves permission to set those goals and be audacious and just go for it. And more often than not, rubies aren't quiet about what they want. They're not quiet about their business goals or what they're doing. And pearls always want to be a part of a cause. And they'll do anything to help anyone. So they're like, I'll help her bring her husband home. I don't even know her, but I'll build a business to do that. And so 90% of my team, they're pearls. And they didn't even care that they were staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning and couldn't take care of their kids the next day because they were like, we're bringing Adam home. And I'm like, who are you guys? Like, you're so awesome. But then when Adam was home, all of a sudden their businesses went stagnant. And I'm like, what's going on? You were all so successful. I don't understand. And it's because they didn't have something to fight for. Mission was complete. Check in the box. Adam's home. And then they felt like, we'll just go to events because this is fun and I love the atmosphere. But their own businesses were going down. And I couldn't remind them that they were losing money with not cycling because their ranks were dropping because the money wasn't important to them. They didn't care. They needed a purpose. They needed something bigger to fight for. And that's where our team missionary trip to South Africa was born. Because Adam and I are going on a missionary trip ourselves. But I thought to myself, maybe the following year we could take our team in a team retreat. Like I wonder if they would be wanting to do that. And when I presented it, they are a bunch of, they're philanthropists. And they were all like, yes, I'll go 5-star for that. I'll go 2-star for that, whatever. So it's a matter of understanding the language of your team. What is the predominant language of them? And you are going to have some rubies and you are some emeralds and sapphires and people that are like you, but those are the people that are going to run beside you. And you have to understand that that's okay in your business. That's the way that it's built. Not everyone is supposed to run 100% with you. That's not how a successful team runs. Everyone has their part. But it's a matter of making that gem stronger. So on my second call, I point out those strengths and those weaknesses. And then I give them a homework assignment again. And I make them brain dump. And I make them send me a picture of their brain dump within 24 hours. They can't do it with kids or with spouses around. It can't work. It has to be a moment where they're just zoned in, it's quiet, and they're brain dumping. And I have them text me a picture of that brain dump within 24 hours because I need to see what's inside their head. I need to see if it's negative thoughts. I need to see if it's more positive thoughts. I need to see if there's nothing because they don't think much of themselves. And then we hop on a phone call again and I help them go over what I think some of the things are that they could talk about on social media outside of just health and fitness. Like, could you storytell a little bit about this? Follow me, watch my post, watch how I storytell on Facebook. I have been coined for some reason as the storytelling ninja. And that's just because I've been doing it for 5 years. I love storytelling because I feel like it relates with people for them to be able to say me too. So I teach them that, how to be authentic on social media and find their voice outside of our challenge pack sales. And then from there, I plug them into my 30-day coaching group, which is the basics of Beachbody. It's how do you create a website? Everyone should have their website masked to something other than beachbodycoach.com/whatever. It should be their first and last name. It should be the team name. It should be whatever, but it has to make them professional. They own a business. They need to treat it like a business from day one. So I tell them to Google a coupon, find it for $1.99 and be professional. And then from there, I'm just guiding them on their social media about life. And I'm putting them in a 30-day basic group. And we're doing weekly calls in a big session. We only do one-on-one calls from that moment forward. And recognize that, let's say they've hit Success Club for 3 months in a row, or they've hit a wall with their fitness and I can say they really need to pick me up. But we're not hopping on the phone all the time after that. And I set the expectations because if someone is an emerald, they need to hear those expectations. But I think it's important for everyone or this business will take over your life. And I say that firsthand because I love to work. It's so hard for me to shut it off sometimes, but it's why I have to have boundaries. And so I say to my team, I have 2 phones now. Little crazy, but I had to because I know myself. It wasn't my team's fault. It was my fault. I would say, I won't respond to you outside of Monday through Thursday between the hours of 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. But I would read it and I'd be like, oh, let me just respond real quick. And my kids would be like, Mom, it's 4:30. And I'm like, dang it. So I have 2 phones now. And my team knows that the one phone is turned on Monday through Thursday from 10 to 4. And it's literally powered off right after that. But I tell them, you are free to text that phone at 3 o'clock in the morning because I won't see it. It's going to be powered off. But when I power it on in the morning, I'm going to see your text message or I'm going to get your voicemail and then I can respond to you. So I know it's not ideal for everyone to have 2 phones in the beginning of their business. But a way that you can do that is to get a Google Voice telephone number, and it acts the same way. So it's a different number than your actual cell phone number. So you can give that out on your business card. You can give it out to anyone, and then you can schedule on Google Voice when you want that and be able to ring through to your cell phone number, or it will reroute text messages to an email. So let's say you're at the airport and you don't want to turn that number on at the moment. You can still go in your email and respond to those text messages via email. And so it's just a huge service that was awesome for me before I transitioned into having 2 phones. But yeah, it's just been super helpful for me and it's helpful for my team because it makes them have to think outside the box. It shows them kind of like Mama Bear, which they all call me Mama T. But if you think about your parents, right? Like you have to let kids spread their wings. You have to let them fall and hurt when they're trying to walk. You have to let them learn how to feed themselves. You have to teach them how to go potty by themselves or be changing a diaper until they're 6. Like you have to let them do certain things on their own. But when you enable your team and you say, I'm here for you 24/7, I'm going to hold your hand all the way, you're going to raise a spoiled, entitled coach who thinks that you're there 24/7. And when they realize they can't be that for other people and they're going to feel burnt out, you actually did them a disservice while raising them as a coach. So you really kind of have to look at yourself as a parent and say, how would I want to parent my kids and how to parent my coaches? Because that's how I want them to thrive in their own business when they turn around and they start building a team. Set hours, set expectations, tell those expectations on the very first call with your prospects. And if someone says to you, ooh, I don't like those hours that you have available. I really need someone that I can text that's going to be there for me because I'm emotionally not stable. And I sometimes it's 2 o'clock in the morning when I reach in the fridge and grab a cake. So I need to know that you're going to be there to text me. I'm like, let me refer you to another Beachbody coach, and more often than not, it's the people that used to egg my house. Totally, they're my refer list. I'm like, you should really look into them because they would be awesome for you, right? I can't be that coach for you, but maybe these people can. So I don't tell them that they egged my house. I just refer them to them. They don't even know I'm probably referring. And if it's probably that much funnier. Like, this really sweet girl Tarah Carr referred me to, and they're probably like, karma. But it is what it is. So you have to set those hours up front, though. You have to, and you have to protect your time, and you have to say, I respect my time, I respect your time, so let's just make sure that we show up. We keep our call short. My coaches know we have an emergency call. I call it my quarter call. I talked about it at the DC Super Saturday. You can have a quarter call with me when I want if you really need it, but use that quarter wisely, because I can't be here for you 24/7 all the time, because I have 500 plus personally sponsored coaches and thousands of people on our team, and a lot of them that I adopt. So I can be everything for everyone, but I can be your quarter call if you really need me. And then they know that quarter call is going to be about minutes, 10 to 15 max. We're not going to vent for an hour. And I make them say, is this productive of our time? Are you just venting to me? Because if you are, vent for about 2 minutes. And then if it's anything past that he's vented to, let's look into EMDR, which I'm a full supporter of. EMDR is so helpful for people who have not gotten past some personal issues, but that's not what your coach is for all the time. They're there a little bit, but not all the time. So create that little mini system for yourself and your business. That's mine. It's nothing super special, but I feel like it's just more personal. It's something that helps me understand really who it is that I'm working with and ways that I can rearrange it. Tatiana, EMDR is a form of therapy. Shalene is huge and recommend. She told me, she was like, I can't work with you anymore until you go get EMDR. But it is an emotional therapy. So it's different than just going and talking to a psychologist. They do light therapy. They really find out how to retrain our thoughts to the way that we perceive that was negative that happened to us. So for me, I used to think of my dad, and I would think of my dad, and to me, I would think of anger. I would think of broken promises. I would think of trust issues. I would think of resentment. I would think of everything that was negative. When EMDR retrains your brain to think of it differently, not to hold on to it and make it a teaching lesson and not something that is stripping us from what we should be achieving in life because it's a negative resentment and grudge that we're holding on to. So it's retraining our thoughts, basically. But you would be amazed going through EMDR. Look up certain therapists. I know TriCare covers it from military, but they use it for soldiers all the time that have PTSD, which I've just learned actually today. We shouldn't say PTSD. We should say PTS because it's not a disorder. They're not broken. It's just post-traumatic stress. So my husband just taught me that. He just got back from a Save a Warrior camp for 9 days in California. And I'm always learning something new. But yeah, so it's the same thing. But anyone can have PTSD in life. Anyone can have post-traumatic stress from any circumstance that happened to them in their life. Maybe you watched when a parent abused. Maybe you were abused yourself. Maybe it was something way more awful than that you've never talked to anyone about. Whatever it may be, it could be a post-traumatic stress that bleeds into your adult everyday life. And so I highly encourage people to not go and story tell about that on social media until you've healed from it. That's the most important thing that I'll leave you with when it comes to being a storyteller on social media, is you don't want to vomit it into negative stories all the time. Like, my life sucked, and let me tell you why. And it sucked more, and it was even more sucky. People are going to be like, wow, this person really had a sucky life, and they're really negative. You have to have healed from it, or be in the healing side from that. Be relatable through it. Don't talk to people, talk with people. Your goal and mission is one person when you're talking on social media, which is why if you follow me, you'll see I never say you guys. I say you, because I'm looking for one person. I'm looking for one person that's going to read my post and say, I am that girl. I am that girl 10 years ago. I am that girl a year ago. I am that girl. And I want them to feel comfortable enough to reach out to me because they read my post and thought she's talking directly to me. And so sometimes I'll say you guys, if I need everyone's help and it's not this deep personal connection that I'm trying to get with people. So you find that balance of when you want to talk to one person, when you want to talk to an audience. But yeah, I could talk forever. So Tatiana, any questions that you would like to ask Q&A? I am all yours, my dear.
Oh, I love it. I have, and everybody said in the notes, not everybody, but a lot of people have a ton of notes. And I think it's
Awesome.
watch it, but I love the five love languages. Me and my husband live by that. And
Mhm.
I encourage everybody on this call to not only instill it in their family life, but also in their business. So thank you for bringing that up. The I am that girl, like that is my go-to with my posting. When I post on social media, it is for Jatana 3 years ago before Beachbody. And so every time I post, it's about talking to Jatana before Beachbody. What did she need to hear? What will draw her in? Because that's who I'm looking for in terms of my business and my challenge groups. So I wanted to open up to anybody who has any questions for Tara. I know we're going on like 10 o'clock, so we'll just take like 2 or 3. Does anybody have any questions? You can unmute your line. Go ahead, Nicole.
So when you talk about, obviously you haven't missed Success Club in quite some time, but you talk about having difficulty sometimes, and you don't know how you're going to get Success Club, or you don't know how you're going to make it. When you're in that zone, do you have your favorite go-to like call to action, or do you just like go out and just gather a whole bunch of people that you thought were interested and start emailing personal messages and texting and stuff like that?
Yeah. So the first thing I do, my very first step, is anytime I get into those modes where I'm like, there's no way I'm going to hit Success Club this month. I know I haven't missed it since I joined, but this month I'm going to break my streak. Like there's some moments where I start to have self-doubt. The number one thing I do is I reverse it immediately on Post-it notes. Like, no, you're going to hit Success Club. It's not an option. You are a rock star. You haven't missed a month. You're going to do this. Like, it's immediately shifting that, because what you focus on is your fruition. Like, that's what is going to happen. And so if you constantly every day we're like, nope, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Okay, now it's the 26th. It's really not going to happen. Now it's the 27th. I'm still not there. Like, you let those negative thoughts consume you, you're that much further away. So instead, the moment that voice happens, I do it. I'm like, nope, don't think that. That's not an option. It's going to happen. We're going to figure it out. But then my go-to thing after that is announcing that I am doing either a 3-day refresh group. And so when I say I'm doing a 3-day refresh, it's because I want them to purchase a challenge pack that has the 3-day refresh in it. So I say we're starting with the 3-day refresh, and then we're jumping right into a 30-day challenge group of health and fitness. And then we're going to be focusing on something secondary. Maybe I'm helping them with their meal planning, and I'm putting together a menu for them on how to prep better. Or maybe I'm talking to them about how to organize with their kids, or whatever it may be. And that all happens in the forming back and forth on who it is that I'm talking to. And half the time I don't even know what my theme's going to be. I try to figure out what people need. And then if it's like 6 people need to know how to like laundry really cool, I'm like, cool, we'll do something on that, because Noah has a system with his laundry that we get from the Container Store that always gets a ton of traction when I post about it, because I'm not normally one that rocks at laundry. So I have a system that I've created, and my kids are really good about it now. So it's doing something really quick. That's a free group that you could get people's attention in. And then obviously when you're forming, my go-to is always the feel, felt, found. I know how you feel, that's how I felt, this is what I found. So it's relating with them and hopefully closing the deal. But my rule I have found is that for every 10 people I talk to, I'll sign one. So just to give you an idea of how many people you're going to have to talk to sometimes to get a yes, it could be 50. And that means you really have to get out of your comfort zone and ask for a referral and say, totally fine that you're not interested right now. Is there anyone that given your friend circle that might be interested in joining this group? Because I only have a couple spots. It's limited opening, and I love to maybe help someone that you know. And they might say no, but they might be like, actually, yeah, my best friend's been saying she's want to lose, weight, and she's interested. And they might connect you. So some of my top coaches are referrals from other people that had no that had ever joining me, but they gave me their best friend who's awesome. So just, pushing past that and knowing you're going to have to go for a no's.
Love it.
Cool.
Anybody else? One more question? And I totally think she should go out for Mrs. Ohio, because we have Mrs. Maryland on the call. We have Mrs. America. Mrs. America is on our team, Tara.
I saw that. That's so awesome.
Who all
I got
did
to spend the weekend with Mrs. Ohio in a cabin.
you need to
And
do it?
she was so sweet. Ashley? I know.
Ashley. Yeah.
She's adorable. She's so sweet. She's like, you need to do it. Oh, no. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to talk myself into it.
I'm a Ruby too, and I didn't want to lose on stage in front of all my friends and family on social media.
Mhm.
But sometimes getting
Yep.
out of your comfort zone, some really amazing things can happen. So I encourage you to do it. But thank you so much for being on our call.
You're welcome.
I love you to death. You're amazing. Thank you, everybody, for being on the call. And make sure you share this recording. And Nicola will post it tomorrow in Epic Empire. And you can share it with your coaches on your team. So thank you, Tarah. Go back to your husband. And
Thank you.
Some game. What game was it?
The Cavaliers. They're trying to win, which this game doesn't matter if they win or not against Toronto because they're playing again. So I'm like, it's hashtag not really that big of a deal, but to him it is. So I must go watch.
All right. Love everybody. Y'all have an amazing night. Go get in Success Club.